Hey everyone, I thought I would share a story about Lowe's. I've done hundreds and hundreds of trades, and some of them go well, and some of them go poorly, and some of them, like Lowe's, has a very interesting story behind it. At least in my mind, it does. So this Lowe's story starts on May 21st. It was an earnings play, and I set up a short strangle at the 119.103 in June. I set it up because it had 51% rank, which is in my qualifications for entry. The underlying price was around 111, and I got a $1.95 credit for it on one contract, and my target profit was $97.50. I figured it wouldn't move very much because it's Lowe's. Now, as I recall, Home Depot had just had its earnings and had done very well, and so I figured worst case scenario, it was going to go up. Well, I was very wrong about that. So the underlying dropped from 111 down to 101 and got as low as 90. Well, it got lower than that, but its close was $97, over a 13% drop. Its IV rank dropped to 29%, which was not significant enough to overcome the delta drop. And one of the reasons that was stated, as I recall, for such a drop was because investors apparently got a little anxious about the fact that Lowe's, compared to Home Depot's, had an outdated checkout system, which I don't know if you've been to Lowe's, but it's fine, right? They do a good job. They work well. The people there are really helpful. It's a duopoly between Home Depot and Lowe's, so really didn't see this being a big issue. Yet it did drop 13%, which just goes to show you're never really going to know what the other investors think, what institutions think, what analysts think. You're never going to really know until the numbers come out. So the first thing I did was I adjusted the 119 strike down to the 110 strike. So I formed a smaller strangle out of it. And I did that because at around 30%, I could still get some good credit out of that. So let's take a look at my repair path here. So I opened here on the 21st, and I did my repair the next day on the 22nd. On the 30th, I rolled it to a straddle, so I made it a 103 straddle at that point. And then what I did from there was I was rolling weekly. So 6-6 I rolled because the IV was still decently high. At 6-14, I don't recall exactly how this worked out, but I did manage to roll the entire 103 straddle to a 100, moving actually closer to the at the money. Rolled it again on the 1st, rolled it again on the 12th, and in particular the reason I rolled it on the 12th was because one of the sides had hit its zero extrinsic, because it had just gone up so far from back down here, it hopped up all the way over to here. Then it did a nice reversal here. Nice for somebody, not for me. But when it hit here on the 2nd of August, I made a decision, and I think this is the first time I've ever done this. I did what's called a flip. So basically, I moved the call over to the put side. So it was at the money at this time, and I just flipped it over. So now I was doubling down basically on the fact that it would go back up. That was my hope, especially with earnings coming up. I just saw no particular reason for it to continue going down based on the fact that Home Depot had done so well, based on the fact that the numbers that I was seeing, and this is, a casual look, were not that bad. If the only thing that people were worried about was the fact that the checkout system was a little on the outdated side, that's totally fixable. So there's no reason for Lowe's not to go back up. And sure enough, it did go up a little bit and then crashed just before earnings. I decided to let it ride. I was just that confident about it. So this was a bet that it would go back up. And sure enough, it went back up. In fact, it jumped dramatically. It jumped right back up to its original spot. The thing is because, and I do not recommend this by the way, but because I had flipped from a strangle to a pure put play, I actually made a lot of money off of this and then closed it out. And then of course it continued up and moved on. Here are my positions real quick. So the open at $1.95, all of my various rolls. And then as you can see here, I collected enough that I actually made some decent money on it. In the end, what I netted was $653 on August 21st due to this earnings rebound. So it was a happy ending to Lowe's. Now, not all of my positions in this way, but I am not going to argue with the windfall of $653 in profit. that is just a nice bit of turnaround. And I kind of needed it at the time. So it was a nice windfall, as I say. Thanks for listening.